Well, it's out, our 23rd anniversary issue.
Congratulations are due to the entire Education World team on 23 years of uninterrupted publishing.
Yes, that's important, uninterrupted. We haven't missed a single issue, notwithstanding the pandemic and all other slings and arrows of outrageous fortune.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, so what do you like about this?
Oh, I
issue?
think, Dilip, our 23rd anniversary issue is absolutely information packed, and it's got a wealth of stories and wealth of education insights, comments on the.
No, but surely the most important of all is this very unusual cover story.
Yes.
Which you've written on the reviving the lost art of philanthropy and fundraising. Because wherever we go, whichever school we talk to, and tell them do X, Y, Z, they say we don't have the money. But according to me, every school has a walking, talking ATM in its alumni. And what Indian education institutions need to learn from Americans is how to raise funds and become self-financing instead of going cap in hand always to government.
Yes.
Or a few rich people. With a large middle class and a large population, actually it should be very easy for education institutions to raise funds from their localized constituencies, including their alumni.
Absolutely. Not just.
So I think that's a very, very important story. I've never seen such a story done in India before.
Yes, also not just alumni, Dilip, and I think in this story, you've made a very good point that also from corporates, how education institutions can raise for education development, and how worldwide how there is a trend towards philanthropy in education development. Because education development is the foundational block and the precondition for national development and prosperity.
It's quite shocking the wide divide between corporate India and academic India, because the major input for corporate world is from the universities and from the education system.
Yes.
So it's in their own interest that they should do more philanthropy so that they increase the quality of the human resource that goes into the corporate world.
Yes.
But as we point out here, that despite CSR and others, there's an excellent table here showing how little philanthropy is done in India compared to in the United States. There are a lot of data and statistics given here.
Yes.
And above all, also we've given a very interesting table here on how much money the Ivy League universities have in their
corpuses. Their
endowment corpuses are enormous compared to India's. So I think that's a very, very important story, which I was quite very happy writing it, because I think we need to wake up everybody as to how you can become self-financing and develop excellent campuses and classrooms, and labs, libraries.
Yeah.
That's all. That's the.
Yes, and I think the second thing which I think everyone should read and I like about our issue is that we have done a Education World 22 report where we talk about Education World's contribution, to fulfilling our mission, which is to make education the #1 item on the national agenda. How we've succeeded, how we failed. It's under the title "A Successful Failure."
Yes, in fact, we have an intriguing title, deliberately selected, because we might have done financially, we are self-supporting and all that. Actually, we are a failure in that we have not been able to arouse the great estates of the country, namely Parliament, the executive, judiciary, corporate India, even the middle class, to get involved. We always say in Education World that you cannot generate financial resources unless you develop your human resources. I mean, it's axiomatic, it's obvious, but somehow it's not so obvious in India, because spending on education is not improved for the last 50, 60 years. The Thakore Commission recommended that we should spend 6% of our GDP on education way back in 1967, and it's not happened since. The result is that we still have 300 million illiterate people, totally illiterate adults in this country, and the children coming out of, as the ACER report show, that primary school children in class 7 can't read proper class texts or class 3 texts properly or do simple arithmetic sum. It's a very dangerous situation arising in this country, and I regret to say that Indian society, Indian establishment is not aware of the tremendous danger that we are walking into in the future if we don't educate our next generation.
Yes. And there's much else. Dilip, what do you have to say about our pictorial essay, a very successful EducationWorld India School Ranking Awards, which concluded in Delhi in October. So we have a pictorial essay on that. It was a very highly successful 2-day event where we had over 1,500 of India's top school leaders, principals, trustees, promoters, all congregated to felicitate and to celebrate India's top-ranked schools.
Yes, indeed. But as we say in our lead editorial, that now very enthusiastic response that we had in the EducationWorld India School Ranking Awards shows that at least the top 4,000, 5,000 schools in the country have accepted that the end of education is not only learning outcomes. It's total education, holistic education.
Yes.
And we uniquely, EducationWorld ranks all schools not only on the basis of learning outcomes, which is the worldwide trend, but on 14 different parameters of education, school education excellence, including leadership, campus infrastructure, individual attention to students, community outreach programs, curriculum development, digital readiness, teacher welfare and development, faculty competence. All these together combine to make a school an excellent.
Yes, like we say in our editorial that, the enthusiastic response to the EducationWorld India School Ranking Awards shows that the, tectonic plates of Indian education are shifting.
Yes.
Towards accepting a holistic education delivery.
Yes. But in spite of that, public policy seems to moving in the other direction, because they introduced QET, which we were discussing, which means that they're centralizing and people are learning to exams.
Yes.
And learning to exams is not, in our opinion, really learning. Because anyway, that's, apart from that, there are several other anything else you like, particularly?
I think in our education news section, we've done a very interesting Ed News, Dilip, on the launch of the National Curriculum Framework for Foundational Stage 2022, which is has got, by many early childhood educators, it's got 10 out of 10. It's a very forward-looking document which, recommends a national curriculum framework for foundational stage, which is 3 to 8 years, and it's based.
It's the first step.
Yes.
It's the first phase of the national education.
NEP
framework.
2020.
Yeah, framework.
Yes.
Now there are going to be 3 more stages, right? For secondary.
One for school education and one for higher education.
For higher education.
Yes. So it's an extraordinary document, and we welcome it.
So the first step is very good.
Yes.
So let's see what happens next.
Yes. And more so, Dilip, I think in our anniversary issue, as is our tradition over the past 23 years, we have excellent 4 anniversary essays written by, would you like to tell our readers?
Sanjay Baru, who was in the PMO's office earlier, then Makran Paranjape, who's a senior faculty at Jawaharlal Nehru University, then Rajiv Desai, who's a well-known columnist in Delhi based, and Dr. Sunita Gandhi has introduced a unique early childhood learning program.
Yes, literacy
program, which is getting very good encomium. Then she's outlined the program for us in her column, and it seems to have a lot of potential.
Yes, indeed. And of course,
then there are usual book reviews and.
Yes, and in this issue we also have the EducationWorld India Grand Jury rankings, which we do every year. These Grand Jury rankings are done across parameters which are different from our EducationWorld India School Rankings parameters, and they are the top 10 schools ranked across 14 parameters such as campus architecture and design, technologies, career counseling, etc. And we highly recommend you.
Yeah, and also these schools, the idea of the jury ranking is to encourage schools which are low profile, new schools and others.
Yes,
isn't that
and
right?
these are we got a and they very widely subscribed. We received almost over 1,500 nominations for these schools for these awards. So we have a report on that. We've interviewed the top ranked schools, the top 10 school rankings, league tables are also
these
published.
other parameters.
Yes, which are also very important. Dilip. These parameters include parameters, like I said, like campus design and architecture, SDGs committed schools, high happiness quotient schools. So they're very unique and very interesting parameters, in which we encourage schools to excel.
And again, very enthusiastic response.
Yes, very enthusiastic response.
Which shows actually the tectonic plates of Indian education, as you said earlier, might actually be moving after being moribund for so many years.
Yes.
So lots been happening. We are quite bullish now after 23 years of uninterrupted publishing. We are quite bullish about what's happening. It's happening too slowly for our liking, but nevertheless,
it's happening slowly but surely.
Surely, we hope.
We hope that
the momentum will accelerate.
Yes, accelerate, and education will become the number one item on India's national agenda.
Because, as we say, you can't generate financial resources without first developing your human resources.
Yes.
And India must become a middle-class country in the next 5 years. If we want to get to the goals set by our Prime Minister of 5 trillion, 10 trillion, 20, 30 trillion dollar economy. We've got to get our priorities right. We have to develop our human resources, make people highly productive. People coming out of the education system, they should be very up and running. Then only are these goals going to be achieved.
Yes.
Maybe you want to say something about ParentsWorld.
Yes, in ParentsWorld we've got a very interesting cover story this time, where we offer parents some very useful advice on how to unlock children's inherent creativity.
Which presupposes that children already have a lot of creativity.
Yes, they do. Children are, born curious,
creative.
It's our
inventive.
Inventive. It's our rote learning system, which is a prescription to kill their creativity. So we tell parents why it's important for them, for parents, not just schools and educators, for parents themselves to create environments at home which encourage a children's creativity.
Well, because obviously the first education begins at home. Right?
Yes, very innovative ideas by experts. We highly recommend you read our ParentsWorld cover story too.
Well, that's all. So look forward to our 24th anniversary next year.
Bye-bye. Thank you.